Welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to say that Borderlands is actually not the worst gaming movie ever made.
Yeah, but if you want to find something worse, you got to throw way back to the 2000s and find movies that only exist because of a weird German loophole in tax law.
I mean, some of the best Renaissance paintings exist because rich people had no idea what to do with their money, all right?
Yeah, it's just a matter of time, right? Hey, you heard it here first. In like 300 years, the Borderlands movie will be in the Louvre.
Oh, wow. Just along with Blood Rain 3 and all those lesbian sex scenes. Speaking of rich people setting fire to piles of money, we got a follow-up on how much cash Epic has burned getting their game store off the ground, some uncommonly great news regarding a recently shuttered game studio, and a release date, finally, for Dragon Age Veilguard.
That's right. We got rich people losing money and release dates for long-awaited games. Finally, some good news on Inside Games Roundup.
But first, we have even more good news for you, an exclusive discount from today's sponsor, Factor.
Today's episode of Inside Games is sponsored by Factor, who wants to fill you up with delicious, low-stress, dietitian-approved healthy meals to make you feel your absolute best. You gotta save all your stress for Ranked Q. Don't stress about food. You can choose from a weekly menu of up to 35 options, which means you'll always have some variety. I always go for the Calorie Smart options. Those are usually around 400 to 500 calories, which are really easy to fit into any meal, even if you spend a lot of your time bashing away at video games. Well, let's just say you want a little something to keep you going while you're waiting for matchmaking to kick in. Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, small bites, and more to keep you going no matter how hectic your schedule gets. Let's say you want to go the other way. You just ranked up, you want to celebrate with some gourmet ingredients. Factor offers that too. You can have premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus. Factor's here to save you time, it's here to save you stress, and it's maybe here to save you a couple pounds on the scale. Thank you very much, Factor, for sponsoring our show. If you'd like to support us too, please use our link in the description. You can get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. Thank you again, Factor. Let's dig into the news. First, to hear about a cinematic bomb, we have to throw to the one Inside Games member who has never bombed in their life. Brian, please tell us about the Borderlands movie.
Yes, no, not even an amateur magician could save this movie. The results are in, and it is official. Borderlands, the movie, is a disaster, like real bad, Uwe Boll bad. Both critics and fans alike. It's great when people can come together in these divided times. They both hate the movie starring Cate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, and for some reason Kevin Hart. It debuted with a 0% score on Rotten Tomatoes, but great news, it improved somewhat to a 10% critic score. The LA Times called it an insipid mishmash of trite genre tropes, and Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com said it's an ugly, boring, truly inept piece of filmmaking, which just means it'll be a cult hit later.
Wow, what? Jeez, oh my gosh. All right, if you're wondering, the audience score was not much better. It's at 52% last time we checked, which is better than the critics' 10%.
Yeah, that seems shockingly high for a truly inept piece of filmmaking. Whatever, but despite what people are rating it, they're not going to go see it. The box office numbers are quite bad. It made $8.6 million domestically in its opening weekend. You add in global box office, that number ticks up to $9.3 million, so almost nothing.
It made 700 grand in the rest of the world. Yeah, not great when their budget was estimated to be between 115 and 145 million when you add in marketing and all that. So it is almost certainly going to lose a lot of money.
Yes. It's a really good reminder that video game properties really generally are not very good. For every Last of Us and Fallout, the great ones, there are just oodles of terrible video game adaptations.
Which reminds us of that reference we made in the beginning of the episode here. Based on some random internet searching, the lowest rated video game movie we could find is 2005's Alone in the Dark from German film auteur Uwe Boll. As Brian referenced earlier, that movie earned a stately 1% positive critical rating out of 121 reviews.
The best part about that movie is, of course, the Godsmack track they used in the trailer.
Don't forget about Christian Slater. I think he's in that too.
He sure is. Tara Reid playing a scientist. The role she was born to play.
Why didn't people believe that?
Hey, speaking of wasting money, How's the Epic Game Store doing in their app slap fight with Apple?
Yeah, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney says his war with Apple has cost the company $1 billion as they launched their game store in the EU this week on iOS and for the first time worldwide on Android.
Yeah, that's the cost of doing business if you're a tech titan, I suppose. Sucks the air out of your lungs, man. And in a media briefing, Sweeney thanked the European Commission for passing the DMA law that enabled the Epic Game Store to launch on iOS. He also praised the body for, quote, really going in on holding Apple and Google's feet to the fire to ensure that they can't just obstruct competition.
By the way, he might be right because the government is looking to break up Google here at this point.
Yeah.
The mobile Epic Store launches with 3 of its big hits, Fortnite, of course, which marks its return to iOS, Rocket League Sideswipe, and the new Fall Guys mobile.
Yeah, and Epic's long war, they've been fighting with Apple and Google forever over their mobile ecosystems fees. It's been very costly. Sweeney told journalist Stephen Totillo that Epic probably missed out on as much as $1 billion in Fortnite revenues based on it being sort of not available. But yeah, he said it's worth it.
Yeah, because they're going to earn more than $1 billion if they can bypass all of Apple's fees, but hey, it's business. Sweeney said, if we spent $1 billion so far, that's a small price to pay for the future freedom of our company and of all the others who want to participate in the market.
So I'm kind of, look, for all of the people that hate Epic Game Store, I'm all right with this. And also, Tim Sweeney, I know, is a known jerk. But generally speaking, competition is good. So I'm totally fine with him spending $1 billion of their own money to break in and try and break up Apple and Google. Do we all love Apple and Google? Probably not.
Yeah, like he does have big aggrieved nerd energy, and he is a little caustic, but yeah, you generally want more players rather than fewer in a space.
And he's the only one willing to do it. Every other company, I mean, there aren't many others that could even try. But every other company is happy to just kick back and play the game and make whatever money they can. So I'm glad he's trying to destabilize things, and that includes giving away free games to give Valve some competition on PC. Yeah, competition's great. We all win, even if you have to sign into one more store. That's just how I feel about it.
Lawrence, I read this next story, and I can only think of you and how excited you were. So I feel like you should probably take the headline on this one.
Oh, sure. Now, so this is something I was hoping would happen. We've seen this happen a couple times in the games industry. Typically, if a business unit is good and people like working together and they make products that sell, somebody will come in because people like making money. And it happened, thank God. Hi-Fi Rush's developer Tango Gameworks has been saved. You may have heard about that this week. They were saved at the last minute after they were initially shut down by Microsoft. But now we have some more details about their new owners and how that transition will happen.
Yeah, it's been reported that PUBG publisher Krafton, which acquired Tango, is bringing over about half of the 100 staffers who worked at the studio, which of course was previously owned and then shut down by Microsoft. Because why wouldn't you shut down a studio with a great original IP that you've wanted? Like, of course somebody's gonna pick up that ball. Like, you just left it there.
Journalist Stephen Totillo said on X that Krafton, quote, plans to transfer approximately 50 development staff from Tango Gameworks to Krafton's Japan subsidiary. Transferred staff will continue to work on new projects, including the expansion of the Hi-Fi Rush IP at Krafton.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Totillo added that the deal was effective August 1st, and with the studio closed, Krafton did what's known as an acqui-hire. It's an acquisition with a primary focus of getting talent. On that note, Krafton added that we wanted to inherit the entire development team. So they wanted the unit that made those good games, and they got them at a whole stretch, which is great. The unfortunate thing is it sounds like some of the administrative and other staff of the company are just kind of redundant, so they're released back into the worker pool. But I've seen this happen a couple of times, which is why I didn't take it super, super hard when Tango shut down. Is that they were like at a career best in working well together and making good products at a very reasonable pace. It's usually when dev studios go 6, 7, 8 years before they launch a game and it doesn't do well. All right, something's a little rocky about the production flow. They're not actually making products. So maybe there's not something there worth salvaging, but Tango was at the top of their game, creatively and even executionally. They were getting products out and those products were good. So I'm glad to see that another publisher saw that and that team wanted to keep working together, apparently. So hopefully we'll get some more Hi-Fi Rush games, maybe even more new IP out of them, because they've demonstrated they can launch new IP. So it's great. This is probably the best case scenario, but for the administrative staff that didn't get to retain their jobs.
Yeah, like a studio typically gets shut down like when they release the follow-up to their big hit and that bombs, and then they're like, you're shut down. But they're at the peak, like you said. Krafton's like, there's just this money machine sitting over here. We would like to take that.
I so desperately want to be a fly on the wall for those Microsoft meetings. I want to know why they shut them down. There's got to be some money reason, and I don't know what it is. I wish I could figure it out. I just want to know. I want to talk to Matt Booty and be like, what the hell were you guys thinking? Bad press, bad all the way around. It doesn't make any sense, but there's got to be something they saw that I just don't know what it is.
My only theory is that this is a Bethesda level decision because they're under the Bethesda umbrella. Bethesda looked at their brands, their properties. I think they're going the route of only focusing on Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I mean, they have Indiana Jones, but like, I think Starfield changed a lot of their future plans in a big way. And I think they looked at Tango and didn't see Fallout level success coming out of that studio. So they decided to let him go. And because of that, like, I think Microsoft is pretty hands-off. That's what I hear all around whenever they make an acquisition. That may have changed in the last 4 or 5 years, but to me, it feels like Microsoft can't throw Bethesda under the bus, and Bethesda is not going to jump in front of the bullet that is aimed at Microsoft because they let go of Tango. So it's this like weird situation where Bethesda gets to enjoy the anonymity of maybe making or owning that decision. And I only say that because I think Starfield missed targets pretty hard. So I think they had like financial projections where Tango's burn rate wouldn't matter because Starfield is the next global sensation. It's the next Skyrim, baby. But it didn't end up being that. So once that happened, they had to like figure out how to steer the boat back towards massive profits they were expecting off of things like Starfield and then probably the Creator Store when they sell things and like take a little whiff off of it. So that was very long-winded, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me, just observing this from the outside.
Yeah, it's like everything. There's no room for AA games or AA movies anymore. It's all about just that big blockbuster, it feels like. And then when one of those crashes and burns, it takes everything else down with it.
Hey, speaking of a big blockbuster that might crash and burn, Dragon Age Veilguard has a long-awaited release date. We finally got a release date that I'm excited for this game to play. It could be a big budget crash and burn. We'll see.
Yeah, BioWare released a trailer for the game which featured a fight between the Veilguard, some corrupt elf gods. Of course, some dragons were involved. And yeah, we got a release date. Halloween, October 31st.
That's fun. Kinda. It's like kind of spooky. The veil between worlds fall. It's like Halloween. Same thing. We will get more info than that soon. Luckily, BioWare says next week they're going to show us a high-level combat and PC spotlight. I'm probably coinciding with Gamescom, right?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you might remember that the game was announced back in 2018. What's called Dragon Age Dreadwolf. After a long wait, it was announced that in 2022, an alpha build of the game was playable from start to finish. That was in 2022. Then we finally got an official trailer earlier this year, so it's definitely been a long road, but the end is in sight for Dragon Age Veilguard. BioWare is back, baby.
It looks big. It looks dumb.
It does. It looks dumb, yeah.
It's not Dragon Age Origins, and it's not going to be ever again. So if you ratchet it back to like, oh, this is like a big, stupid, high-budget CW special, with pretty people and understandable levels of intrigue and silly combat system lets you throw on fireballs, that's all right.
All right, let's do a 5-second review. This is Cat Quest 3. I haven't played it yet. I literally just added this as a review because it reminded me that Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D is coming out in November, which is going to be the game of the year. I'm just calling it right now. I will never shut up about that game until November. Sorry, Cat Quest 3. I'm sure you're great. I'm sure you're pretty and everybody likes you. But I'm going to pass until November.
All right, let's move into the upcoming games for this week. August 18th. Up first, Black Myth Wukong. This is an action RPG rooted in Chinese mythology. You shall set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels ahead to uncover the obscured truth beneath the veil of a glorious legend from the past. Comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X on August 20th.
Dustborn. Ragtag crew? Check. Musical gear? Check. Tour bus and robot driver? Check. Stolen package? Check. Embark on a perilous road trip across a divided states of America? Use the power of words to shape relationships with your crew, get out of trouble, and reach your final destination. I feel like this band is gonna break up. It comes to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, August 20th.
Tactical Breach Wizards. Such a cool title. In Tactical Breach Wizards, you lead a team of renegade wizards in Kevlar through turn-based battles to unravel a modern conspiracy plot. Combine their unique spells in clever ways, or rewind time to try every crazy plan you can think of to punch a traffic warlock through a fourth-story window. Man, that's the fantasy we've all been waiting for. Tactical Breach Wizards comes out on PC on August 22nd.
And finally, Sony's biggest new IP that everybody's going to play, Concord. Assemble your crew of free gunners, space outlaws, to team up online with friends, thrilling 5e, blah, 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 blah. Concord's a new team-based first-person shooter for PS5 and PC. Handpick your personal roster of free gunners for the comes to PC and PS5 August 23rd. Boy, oh boy, you're going to have a great time.
People love those games of service, don't they?
They really do.
Speaking of loving gaming media, we have some patrons that support the show, support our productions here. We're very appreciative of them. Brian's flow. Hey, you're keeping Brian swimming in Dragon Quest 3 copies, and that's real important. We have simple needs here. But we have some art respecters in the Patreon so much that they've actually seen Borderlands 5 times already. Wow. Ryan Daraberry, Sherwin Sanchez, Alex Stone, John Warren Gallardi, and Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer. Front row on Borderlands for the 5th viewing. Love to see it.
My Inside Games patron support art even more. They just buy tickets to Borderlands and they don't even go, which is probably maybe the smarter way to do it. Talia Monochrome, Evan S. Compton, Baku Bomb, Jonathan Lanowski, and Nick Calderon. Thank you for supporting the Inside Games Patreon.